Welcome to episode 51 of Arm Wrestling with COVID-19 in London. This is a very impromptu episode. I wasn't planning at all to record it today, but I thought, okay, I can allow myself a little rant. So this is basically one way of managing anger. And you might wonder, what is he angry about now? Well, of course, as the title of the episode, as the title of the whole 50 preceding episodes suggests, this is about COVID-19. Now, I want to ask you a question. Have you been on a bus recently? Have you been on the train recently? Have you used public transport? Have you gone into public spaces? I think that a lot of you would already recognize why I'm asking these questions. I'm asking them because I have been to all these places. I've been in buses, trains, public spaces, closed spaces like museums and supermarkets. What have I noticed? Pubs. I'll stop there, but what have I noticed? Hardly any use of face masks. Hardly any social distancing. And people behaving as if everything is hunky-dory, everything is normal. We're back to pre-COVID-19 times. We can be merry and happy and do whatever we want. And if anybody is not happy with that, tough luck. Is this really where we are today? When one look at some of the figures, at some of the stats, at some of the what do I call them? The forecasts being made show that we in the United Kingdom have the highest rate of deaths and the highest rate of COVID cases within Europe. So how do we respond to that? We respond to that by forgetting our face masks, by behaving as if everything is normal and we don't give a toss about ourselves, or more to the point, about anybody else. And whilst doctors and medical organizations suggest that we are being willfully negligent and the government is being willfully negligent by not acting, what do we get? We get ministers, including our own health secretary, saying that COVID Plan B will not be applied yet, but we should stay vigilant. What does it mean, stay vigilant? A government in any country that is worth its democracy is to give people choice, but also to lead them when necessary. And saying, oh, we reject Plan B, but we ask you to be vigilant. And what if I turn and say, I don't want to be vigilant? Is this where we are today? Honestly, guys, I mean, call me a dinosaur, call me paranoid, call me whatever you want. But when I go into a bus and I see that there are as many people standing as there are sitting because the bus is full, when I see that nobody cares in a train whether they've got a face mask or not, or when they have a face mask, it's basically covering their chins, or when I go to a supermarket, it's as packed as anything I remember from pre-2020, pre-2019 times. When I go to enclosed spaces, including, by the way, some houses of worship, and I see that people are trying to avoid the constraints, as it were, of COVID, then not only do I worry, I also get angry, and I also allow myself this little rant. Because otherwise, the figures, the statistics will not be as telling as they are today, and the government would not be as wanting as it is today. In fact, this idea of sharing this little rant with you, sorry, the YouTube is becoming a rant for me today, but it's when I read that the former Prime Minister's think tank, the Tony Blair Institute, has said that ministers should set urgently a daily target of 500,000 booster jabs, that they should reactivate the vaccine infrastructure set up earlier in the year and start using the AstraZeneca vaccine for boosters if there isn't enough Pfizer around. The Institute said that the government should also aim to ensure that half of all 12 to 15-year-olds are vaccinated by the start of December, while making the approval of vaccines for under 12s a priority. Wait for it. This is not all that the Tony Blair Institute said. And mind you, you and I might disagree with some of what Tony Blair did whilst he was Prime Minister, but this is the Institute talking, and I don't think the Institute is only the man. The Institute also called ministers to urgently explore, quote, unquote, the options for introducing a COVID passport while reinstating mandatory face coverings for crowded indoor public spaces. You know, after we messed up the start of COVID, after we basically shilly-shallied, we dilly-dallied, we shuffled our feet, we didn't produce the results, and we had that awful, awful legacy of so many people who died as a consequence of it. We then discovered, we in Britain, we Brits discovered the vaccine as a miracle. And we did a wonderful job with the jabs. And we were well ahead of the rest of Europe, with developed economies like France and Germany lagging behind. And guess what? Now, those same countries, Germany, France, Italy, are well ahead of us in terms of cases and even vaccinations. Less cases, more vaccinations. So from an abundance of caution, a sensible sentiment, given the history of COVID, the government should rapidly and decisively accelerate measures to give us the best possible chance of avoiding the disease spiraling out of control again. You know, history repeats itself. Well, it does and it doesn't, but somehow it does. And we were in this pickle a while back. Let's not again realize that we were slow on the uptake, and therefore we managed to mess it up, and we managed to cause a lot of problems for ourselves, our families, our friends, our partners, and our neighbors. It pains me to know that Morocco decides to stop all flights to and from its country to the UK because they are worried about our COVID rates. And yet, we have people like the Secretary for Health saying, oh, it's okay. The Prime Minister staying mum, not saying anything. He's too busy with the COP summit in Glasgow. The former vaccine minister, who's now I think business secretary is not saying anything as well. Guys, when people are not being sensible, that's when government acts. Government is not there just as a figurehead. Oh yes, we've got a government, but we're a democracy. Everybody decides what they want to do. No. Democracy and a government help lead the people and lead the country. Otherwise, why elect them in the first place? End of my rant and end of this episode. You might not like it. A lot of people are going to say, oh, what a tosser. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Okay. What does the government think? Do I know what I'm talking about? Or am I totally deluded? Am I totally paranoid? Am I totally worried that tomorrow could happen to me and my friends what has happened to so many people to date? Think about it. Think about it, and I wish us all good luck.